A very warm welcome to all the MSc final year biochemistry students. Today in the third lecture of the chapter electrolytes and acid base balance, we are going to study the acid base regulation, maintenance of the pH. In the second lecture we studied about the three major systems that regulate the acid base balance of the body. The first one is the chemical buffer system. The second one is the respiratory regulations mediated by the lungs. The third one is the renal regulation of the acid base balance by the kidneys. In the chemical buffer systems, we studied about the bicarbonate buffer system, and the second one was this phosphate buffer system, and the third one was the proteins, which are an important intracellular buffer systems. So today we are going to study about the respiratory regulation of the acid base balance by the lungs. The second line of defense against acid-base disturbances is control of ECF CO2 concentration by the lungs. An increase in ventilation eliminates CO2 from ECF, which by mass action reduces the H+ concentration, while decreased ventilation increases CO2, thus also increasing H+ concentration in the ECF. CO2 is continually formed in the body by intracellular metabolic processes, and it diffuses from the cells into the interstitial fluid and blood, which transport it to the lungs, where it diffuses into the alveoli and then is transferred to the atmosphere by pulmonary ventilation. About 1.2 mole per liter of dissolved CO2 normally present in the ECF, which corresponds to PCO2 of 40 millimeter mercury. Thus, changes in either pulmonary ventilation or the rate of CO2 formation by the tissues can change the extracellular fluid PCO2. When CO2 concentration increases, the H2CO3 concentration and H+ concentration also increases, thereby lowering the extracellular fluid pH and vice versa. Increasing alveolar ventilation to about twice the normal raises the pH of the ECF by about 0.23. For example, if the pH of the body fluid is 7.4 with normal alveolar ventilation, doubling the ventilation rate raises the pH to about 7.63. Conversely, a decrease in alveolar ventilation to about 1/4 normal reduces the pH by 0.45. For example, if the pH is 7.4 at a normal alveolar ventilation, reducing the ventilation to about 1/4 normal reduces the pH to 6.95. In other words, we can say that the H+ concentration also affects the rate of alveolar ventilation. The alveolar ventilation rate increases 4 to 5 times of the normal as the pH decreases from a normal value of 7.4 to a strongly acidic value of 7. Here you can see when the pH of the bicarbonate buffer system of the body decreases from 7.4 to 7, the respiratory rate increases 4 times, and when the plasma pH rises above 7.4, this causes a decrease in the ventilation rate. So this is especially very true for the pranayam system of yogic healing. In pranayam, when you increase your alveolar ventilation rate, the pH of the body rises above 7.4, which is very useful for us because, as you all know, that in the acidic microenvironment of the blood, there is higher chances of infections, which can be either from a bacteria, virus, fungi, or any other thing. And acidic microenvironment also leads to mutation, which can have cancerous manifestations. So it is always very good to hyper ventilate your lungs so that the pH of the body can rise above 7.4, which prevents us from several disorders and diseases. So increased H+ concentration stimulates respiration, and since increased alveolar ventilation decreases the H+ concentration, the respiratory system acts as a typical negative feedback controller of H+ concentration. Here you can see that whenever there is an increase in H+ concentration, there is stimulation of alveolar ventilation, which decreases the PCO2, and then the pH is maintained. So it is a type of negative feedback control. Respiratory control cannot return the H+ concentration all the way back to normal when the disturbance outside the respiratory system has altered the pH, and it has an effectiveness between 50 to 75%. That is, if the pH falls from 7.4 to 7, The respiratory system can return the pH to a value of about 7.2 to 7.3 within 3 to 12 minutes. It acts rapidly and keeps the H plus concentration from changing too much until the slowly responding kidneys can eliminate the imbalance. So this was all for the respiratory regulation. Now coming down to the third regulation, which is by the renal control of acid base balance by both the kidneys. The kidneys control the acid base balance by either excreting either acidic or basic urine. Large numbers of bicarbonate ions are filtered continuously into the tubules, and if they are excreted into the urine, this removes base from the blood. Similarly, large number of H plus ions are also secreted into the tubular lumen by the tubular epithelial cells, thus removing acid from the blood. If more of H plus is secreted than bicarbonate is filtered, there will be a net loss of acid from the ECF. If more bicarbonate is filtered than H plus is secreted, there will be a net loss of base. Each day the body produces about 80 milliequivalents of non-volatile acid. Non-volatile acid is other than bicarbonic acid, which are mainly produced from the metabolism of proteins, and since they are not carbonic acid, therefore they cannot be excreted by the lungs. The primary mechanism of removal of these acids from the body is therefore renal excretion. The kidneys filter about 432, that is 4320 milliequivalent of bicarbonate under normal conditions. Almost all of this is reabsorbed from the tubules. Here you can see that the kidneys, they filter about 432 milliequivalent of the bicarbonate ions. So under normal conditions, almost all of this is reabsorbed, thereby conserving the primary buffer system of the ECF, since bicarbonate must react with the secreted H plus to form carbonic acid before it can be reabsorbed. So an equivalent amount, that is 4320 milliequivalent of H plus must be secreted each day just to reabsorb the filtered bicarbonate. Then an additional 80 milliequivalent of H plus must be secreted to rid the body of the non-volatile acids produced each day. Thus, for a total of 44 milliequivalent of H plus to be secreted into the tubular fluid each day. In alkalosis, the removal of bicarbonate raises the ECF concentration back towards normal. In acidosis, the kidneys do not excrete bicarbonate into the urine but reabsorb all the filtered bicarbonate and produce new bicarbonate, which is added back to the ECF. This reduces the ECF H plus concentration back towards normal. Thus, kidneys regulate ECF H plus concentration through three fundamental mechanisms: secretion of H plus, reabsorption of filtered bicarbonate, and production of new bicarbonate if there is excess acid. So, secretion of H plus and reabsorption of bicarbonate by the renal tubules. H plus ion secretion and bicarbonate reabsorption occur in virtually all parts of the tubule except the descending and ascending thin limb of the loop of Henle. For each bicarbonate reabsorbed, H plus must be secreted. So about 80 to 90% of the bicarbonate reabsorption and H plus secretion occurs in the proximal convoluted tubule. In the thick ascending limb of the loop of Henle, another 10% of the filtered bicarbonate is reabsorbed, and the remainder of the reabsorption takes place in the DCT and the collecting tubule. Here you can see that about 85% occurs, reabsorption of bicarbonate occurs in the proximal convoluted tubule, the 10% in the thick ascending limb of the loop of Henle, and the next remaining 5% is collected in the collecting ducts and tubules. So H plus is secreted by secondary active transport in the early tubular segments. So here you can see that in the early tubular segments like PCT, thick ascending limb of the loop of Henle, and in the early collecting ducts, there is a different mechanism of H plus secretion, while in the late collecting ducts there is another mechanism for the secretion of H plus ion that I will be elaborating shortly. So the epithelial cells of the PCT, the thick ascending segment of the ascending loop of Henle, and the early tubule all secrete H plus into the tubular fluid by sodium proton counter transport. So you have to remember this word, sodium proton counter transport. Active secretion of H plus is coupled with the transport of sodium ions into the cell at the luminal membrane by the sodium hydrogen exchanger, and the energy for H plus secretion at a concentration gradient is derived from the sodium gradient favoring and sodium movement into the cell. So here you can see that there is a co-transport that is taking place. Sodium moves inside, and the energy for this gradient provides the energy for the movement of H plus ion in the opposite direction into the tubular lumen. About 95% of the bicarbonate is reabsorbed in this manner, requiring about 44,000 milliequivalent of H plus to be secreted each day by the tubules. So how does the secretory process begins? So it begins when CO2 either diffuses into the tubular cells or is formed by metabolism into the tubular epithelial cells. So whenever there is the formation of CO2 or CO2 enters into the tubular epithelial cells, it reacts with water in presence of carbonic anhydrase to form H2CO3, which then dissociates to form bicarbonate and H plus ions. The H plus is secreted from the cells into the tubular lumen. Here the H plus is secreted into the tubular lumen by sodium proton counter transport. The gradient for sodium movement in the cell then provides energy for H plus in the opposite direction from the interior of the cell to the tubular lumen. The bicarbonate generated here the bicarbonate, you can see the bicarbonate which is generated in the cell by dissociation of carbonic acid, then moves downhill across the basolateral membrane. So the basolateral membrane is the membrane which is towards the renal interstitial fluid, that is the tubular epithelium. One side there is tubular lumen, and another side there is renal interstitial fluid. Here you can see, and this is the basolateral membrane. So it moves via the basolateral membrane into the renal interstitial fluid and the peritubular capillary blood. Thus for every H plus ion, so every H plus ion which is secreted into the lumen, here you can see for every H plus ion which is secreted into the tubular lumen, a single bicarbonate ion is reabsorbed, enters the blood. Since the bicarbonate ion do not readily permeate the luminal membranes of the renal tubular cells, therefore, so in the renal tubular the bicarbonate ions cannot permeate, hence they combine with the bicarbonate ions, they combine first combine with H plus to form H2CO3, which eventually becomes CO2 and H2O, and CO2 diffuses. The transport of bicarbonate ion across the basolateral membrane is facilitated by two mechanisms. First is sodium bicarbonate co-transport in the proximal tubules. So in the proximal tubules you have a co-transport of sodium and bicarbonate, and chloride bicarbonate exchange in the late segment and in the collecting ducts and tubules. So the excess H plus, about 80 milliequivalent each day, rids the body of non-volatile acid produced by metabolism. Most of the H plus is not secreted as free H plus, but rather in combination with other urinary buffers, especially phosphate and ammonia. Kidneys correct either acidosis or alkalosis by incomplete titration of H plus against bicarbonate, leaving one or the other to pass through the urine and be removed from the ECF. So in the late distal and collecting tubule, there is a primary active secretion of H plus in the intercalated cells. So they have a specialized cells which are called as the intercalated cells. In the late distal tubules and collecting ducts, the tubular epithelium secretes H plus ions by primary active transport by a hydrogen transporting ATPase, where the energy required for pumping the H plus is derived from the breakdown of ATP to ADP in specialized cells called the intercalated cells. It occurs in two steps. The dissolved CO2 in the cells combines with H2O to form H2CO3. The H2CO3 then dissociates into bicarbonate, which is reabsorbed in the blood, and H plus which is secreted into the tubule by means of hydrogen ATPase. So this is the hydrogen ATPase. Here you can see this is the hydrogen ATPase. For each H plus secreted and HCO3 is reabsorbed, the main difference is that the H plus moves across the luminal membrane by an active H plus pump instead by a counter transport. So in the proximal convoluted tubule, the H plus concentration can be increased only about 3 to 4 folds, and the tubular fluid pH can be reduced to only about 6.7, although large amount of H plus ions are secreted by this segment. However, H plus concentration can be increased as much as 900 fold in the collecting tubule because of the use of hydrogen ATPase, which decreases the pH of the tubular fluid to about 4.5, which is the lower limit of pH that can be achieved in the normal kidneys. So here you can see the antiport of bicarbonate and chloride ion also. So the movement of the ions in the intercalated cells of the late distal and collecting tubules is different than that which occurs in the proximal convoluted tubule. So that is all for this chapter. Thank you so much.